Welcome back to Ferris State football coverage on the Bulldog Sports Network. Head coach Jeff Pierce. And Coach, it seems like every week we talk about going on the road to play another good football team, and certainly the case with Michigan Tech this week.
No question about it. Michigan Tech's a good team. I mean, they have been very strong at home. They've beaten some real good football teams up in Houghton, Indianapolis, who we just weren't able to get by this past weekend. Michigan Tech got them up there. We know we got our hands full, but it's up to us to get our game to the point where we're executing at the level that we're capable of. Michigan Tech is a lot like many of the other teams that we're facing right now, and that's our conference right now. You know, for the exception of a couple teams, everybody's at about the same level, and you've got to be on, and you've got to be able to execute, and you've got to be able to take advantage of every situation that you have in a football game to come up with a win. And you know, that's what we're preparing to do. You know, we're in the final stretch here, and we want to finish off, you know, with a winning season, and we want to win every game we possibly can. And you know, and our guys have been working and putting the time and effort into it, and that's what our plans are to do.
Against Michigan Tech, they're coming off a close loss at Grand Valley State. What have you seen from Michigan Tech this week as you've been preparing for Saturday's matchup?
Well, you know, they're a big, strong, powerful football team that's well coached. Tom Curley, who was offensive coordinator at Central Michigan at one time, went back to his kind of home area and took over that football program. And you know, you've got a football team of engineers, you know, and they're sound at what they do. You know, they maybe aren't the fastest skilled people that you're going to find in our conference, but very strong fundamentally, very powerful up front. You know, they were able to control the line of scrimmage, you know, last week against Grand Valley and things like that. And those are the battles that we have to be able to compete in against them. I mean, on the line of scrimmage. I mean, for them, you know, when they're on the offensive side of the football, you know, our defensive line's got to step up. You know, they've got to step up and be able to control that battle. And on the same hand, you know, when we're playing on our offensive side of the football, it's critical for us to be able to do that also.
Sherman Field, always a difficult place to visit on the road. Never know what the weather's going to be like. It looks like it's going to be pretty good on Saturday, but talk about playing on the road at Sherman Field up in Houghton.
Well, it's always been a challenge, you know, and they take that to their advantage. You know, I think they've paid off the weathermen because they've said it's going to be sunny and 47 degrees, and then when you look on the forecast and it says for Sunday it's supposed to be 37 and snow. So, you know, we might be into a trap here going up there and playing in the snow, and they just love that. That's what they love to do. But it is a little bit of a challenge. I mean, we're 8-9 hours away from here, and it's in their environment, but we got to play. You know, I mean, that doesn't matter. I mean, we got to put that aside, and that's the thing that we're talking about right now. It's an opportunity to play the game of football, and you know, we take the game up there. Let's take the game up there, and we just have to execute. You know, and we're very capable of playing a very solid football. We've been doing that, you know, in a number of times in the course of the season, and that's what we're going to have to do Saturday.
As you look back at last week's game against Indianapolis, what adjustments do you make coming into Saturday?
Well, you know, last week was very disappointing. You go back and you look at it, and I mean, there's a team that's one of the more powerful teams in the country right now. I mean, right now they're in consideration to get into the NCAA tournament, and I mean, if that game would have gone the other way, it might have been the other way. And you know, so we're playing a very good football team and very high level of competition, and you're only a couple plays away from making that happen. And that's what I challenged our guys is, you know, if a couple plays would have went a different direction in our direction, we'd be the guys that are there. And now, where do those couple plays come from? Well, don't just point at these two obvious or a couple obvious plays. There's a number of different things that could have happened in that football game with the execution of what we were doing that could have made us and put us in the other part of the deal, you know, and that's the important thing. You know, our guys really got to be focused. You don't know what play is going to make that difference, and you know, and when we get down in the red zone, we got to score. I mean, we got to either punch the ball in the end zone, or we got to put it through the uprights and come out of there with points. And I mean, it came down in that football game, a couple of those situations where, you know, we make the block and the guy gets into the end zone, or the ball goes through the uprights. Next thing you know, we're standing here talking about, you know, playoffs and things like that. So we're not that far off the mark. And, you know, our guys just have to concentrate. You know, everybody has to take ownership. when you come up short or even when you win, on making the corrections to do the things that we have to do, to finish those deals. And it's about finishing, and that's what we have to do up at Michigan Tech.
Coach, best of luck against the Huskies.
Yeah, thank you.
This has been Ferris State Football on the Bulldog Sports Network.